Well, hello there. My name is Kent. I am the founder of Paradigm Vitality, ex-certified personal trainer, exercise enthusiast, and product review expert. Today we'll be talking about general nutrition. We will be talking about the basics of nutrition, basically the macronutrients like carbs, fat, and protein. What makes a macro is that you need to get those in grams. Most other nutrients you don't really need to get in grams. You mostly need them in micrograms and milligrams, but we'll talk about that in further videos. So we are going to go ahead and start with the basics. Carbohydrates. It contains 4 calories per gram. It is the body's primary source of energy and should make up 45 to 65% of your daily caloric intake. And no, put down the soda. Carbs are essential, but it is best to understand how insulin works, how and why it's important to not spike your blood sugar, and which carbs will give you an insulin surge and which ones won't, and when to eat carbs and when not to eat carbs. So when you consume a sugary snack like a candy bar or a soda, it is quickly digested and absorbed into the bloodstream, causing a humongous sugar spike. The pancreas will pick up on this and produce a hormone called insulin. The insulin will then dock onto insulin receptors, opening the muscle and the liver to accept the sugar to be converted into glycogen. Right, so it's also important to note that when the liver and the muscles become full and can no longer take in any more carbs, the body will take the rest of those carbs and convert it into fat for long-term storage. This happening over and over again is actually the leading cause of obesity. That's why I tend to stay away from high sugary foods like cake, ice cream, and soda. I'm probably going to do a video in the future about about healthy alternatives to stuff like that. One thing I could think of right off the top of my head is I really like the carbonation of soda. So what I'll do is I go out and I'll buy like a 10-pack of PRA's lime flavored well water. Now another thing to talk about here is the complex carbohydrates. What makes them complex is that they might have more to them than just regular sugar. The complex carbohydrates might have fat attached to it, it might have fiber in it, vitamins and minerals, and that will greatly slow down the process of the body trying to break it down and absorb it into the bloodstream. You won't get a huge sugar spike like you would if you were to drink a soda. The energy the sugar will slowly be added into the bloodstream, which will cause the pancreas to not produce so much insulin. The sugar slowly being added into your bloodstream over time means you have more time to burn it off, which means that you probably will. Let's see, one way to know if the carbohydrate is complex or not, if you're not sure, I tend to go by the sweet factor. If it's really sweet, it probably has a very high glycemic index. Though if you're not sure, you can use the internet. You could go on the internet and search certain kinds of foods to find out what their glycemic index is. The higher the glycemic index, the more easily the carb will be absorbed into the bloodstream. Foods like watermelon are good. All vegetables are good because it has high fiber content. Now we are going to move on to fat. Fat has 9 calories per gram. It insulates the body and helps produce hormones and should make up 20 to 35% of your daily caloric intake. Now there are 4 different kinds of fats that you'll see on nutritional facts labels. You've got monounsaturated fat, you've got polyunsaturated fats, you've got saturated fats, and you've got trans fats. Your unsaturated fats are actually going to be the best for you. They are liquid at room temperature and could easily be broken down by the body to produce fatty acids so that the cells can use them as energy. It is important to make sure that you at least get your 20% of your daily caloric intake is fat, because that is responsible for your hormone production, and your hormones are reign supreme in your body's muscular health.
Then next on the list, you have saturated fats. Saturated fats are solid at room temperature. They're mostly found in butter, they're found in lard and meat grease, and can be converted into low density lipoprotein by the liver. Well, low density lipoprotein, we also know it as bad cholesterol. It can hang out in your bloodstream and cause blood clots. It's not good for you at all. The American Council of Exercise recommends that you should keep your saturated fat intake to 10% or lower, but it's probably best that you don't eat any at all. Next on the list, you've got trans fats. Now, what a trans fat is the is basically the manufacturer of a product will want to increase the shelf life of their products to make it last longer. So what they do is they take the unsaturated fats in the product and mix it with something called hydrogenated oil. And that causes the liquid fats to turn into solid fats. It can wreak havoc on your heart. It's not good for you. They put it in fast food. It can clog up your arteries as well. And it's not recommended by anybody to consume this kind of fat at all. It is also important to note that it is perfectly legal to write trans fat free on the front of a product if the product contains less than half a gram of trans fat per serving. But you know, like how many servings? They could put 10 in there, and then you're getting 5 grams of trans fats. So be careful. So next up on the list, we have proteins.
Protein has 4 calories per gram. It helps fight infections and structures the body and should make up 15 to 20% of your daily caloric intake.
Okay, so the proteins have a whole lot of roles. I mean, they structure the brain, the nervous system, the blood, the muscles, the skin, your hair. It's a transport mechanism for iron and vitamins, fats and oxygen. Um, it's protein also gets turned into enzymes where basically help you digest a meal. Without protein making enzymes, it would probably take your body at least 100 years to digest one meal. Um, it also makes antibodies. Basically, antibodies are there to help you fight off infections. Like inside your stomach, you've got that is just where all the germs are hanging out at, and the antibodies are kind of just down there keeping them in check. Glutamine does the same thing. It'll stop the viruses in your stomach from spreading and causing infections. Protein is a last resort for energy. When or if you're working very hard, it can metabolize proteins as well into amino acids, where it could be absorbed by the mitochondria to produce energy. But that's pretty much protein. I'm pretty sure by now you're saying, but what about vitamins and minerals, Kent? Don't they have calories as well? And they actually don't. Vitamins and minerals are basically turned into enzymes and cells by the DNA. So that will actually take energy to do, and then to keep those enzymes and cells working, they're going to need more energy. So even just taking a multivitamin can drastically raise your metabolism because you're giving your body material to make more cells and enzymes to do a job. So, and there's that. Okay, and that is the bare basics of nutrition. I hope you guys learned something. I could have gone on for a very long time. I think that there's going to be more nutritional videos in the future. So I will be talking more about foods that you can eat that'll be very healthy for you, what to eat, what not to eat, and when to eat it. So until then, I'll see you next time.